Commander Allison Wright stood on the bridge of the Earth Fleet vessel Defiant, watching the stars streak by on the main view screen. The ship hummed with quiet efficiency around her. They were 3 weeks into their patrol mission at the edge of human-controlled space, and so far, they had encountered nothing unusual. "Another quiet day," said Lieutenant Greg Porter at the navigation console. He stretched his arms above his head. "Quiet is good," Allison replied. At 38 years old, she had seen enough excitement in her military career to appreciate peaceful missions. Her short brown hair and steady gaze gave her a look of calm authority that her crew had come to trust. The Defiant was not the biggest ship in Earth's fleet, but it was one of the newest. Recently retrofitted with experimental technology, the vessel represented humanity's growing confidence as they expanded into the galaxy. With a crew of 320, the warship balanced power and maneuverability in ways that older vessels could not match. "Commander, I'm picking up an unusual energy signature," said Officer Ellie Martinez. Her fingers moved quickly across her science station console. "It's coming from the Proxima Centauri sector just beyond our patrol route." Allison walked over to the science station. "What kind of signature?" "Nothing I've seen before," Ellie said, brushing a strand of dark hair from her face. "It's powerful. Very powerful. And it's fluctuating in ways that don't match any known natural phenomenon." "Alien?" asked Jack Kelly, the tactical officer. He was already running scans of his own, his muscular frame tense with alertness. "Possibly," Ellie said, "but not matching any species we've encountered." Allison considered her options. Their orders were to patrol the established route, but investigating unknown phenomena was part of their broader mission. "Lieutenant Porter, adjust course to investigate. Lieutenant Kelly, yellow alert. Let's be careful." As the Defiant changed direction, Allison opened a channel to engineering. "Chief Ross, how are our new systems performing?" "The adaptive shield matrix is running at optimal levels, Commander," Peter Ross replied. His voice carried the slight accent of someone raised in the lunar colonies. "But I still don't recommend testing it in combat conditions. We haven't finished all the simulations." "Understood, Chief. Let's hope we won't need to test it at all." 4 hours later, the Defiant dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the source of the energy signature. What they found made everyone on the bridge fall silent. A massive fleet of alien vessels surrounded a small green planet. The ships were angular, with crystalline structures extending from their hulls like thorns. Energy weapons fired from the largest vessels, striking the planet's surface with devastating force. "My God," whispered Greg. "They're bombarding the planet." "Life signs?" Allison asked, her voice tight. Ellie checked her readings. "The planet has had approximately 3 billion inhabitants, humanoid but not human. Their technology level appears to be pre-spaceflight." She looked up, her face pale. "Commander, they're being systematically wiped out." "The alien fleet hasn't noticed us yet," Jack reported. "Their sensors are focused on the planet." Allison felt cold anger spreading through her chest. Earth's policy was clear: non-interference in conflicts between alien species unless directly threatened. But watching a genocide unfold before their eyes tested that policy to its limits. "Communications? Any transmissions from either side?" she asked. Sam Nichols, the communications officer, shook his head. "Nothing we can... Wait." He adjusted something on his console. "I'm picking up a broadcast from the planet. It's a distress signal being sent in multiple formats. They're begging for help from anyone who can hear them." Before Allison could respond, Jack's console beeped urgently. "3 vessels have broken off from the main fleet. They're heading toward us at high speed." "Red alert," Allison ordered. "Shields up. Lieutenant Nichols, prepare to establish communications if possible." The bridge transformed as the red alert lights came on. Crew members moved with practiced efficiency to their battle stations. On the view screen, 3 of the thorn-covered vessels grew larger as they approached. "They're scanning us," Ellie reported. "Intensive scans. They're trying to determine our capabilities." "Let them look," Allison said. "Lieutenant Kelly, defensive, posture only. Don't target weapons unless I give the order." The alien ships slowed as they approached, taking positions that effectively surrounded the Defiant. Each vessel was at least 5 times the size of the human ship. "They're hailing us," Sam announced, audio and visual. "On screen," Allison said, straightening her uniform. The view screen changed to show a being unlike any Allison had seen before. It had grayish-purple skin with a hard, plate-like texture. Multiple yellow eyes blinked independently across what appeared to be its face, and when it spoke, a lower jaw split into 3 separate mandibles. "Unknown vessel," the alien said, its words translated by the ship's computer. "You have entered territory claimed by the Zarkonian Empire. Identify yourself immediately." Allison stepped forward. "This is Commander Allison Wright of the United Earth Fleet vessel Defiant. We detected unusual energy signatures and came to investigate. We were not aware this system was claimed territory." The alien's eyes blinked in sequence. "This system belongs to the Zarkonian Empire by right of conquest. The species below refused our offer of submission, so they must be eliminated. This is not your concern, human." "The people on that planet appear to be pre-space flight," Allison said, keeping her voice level despite her disgust. "They can't possibly threaten your empire. Their technological level is irrelevant. All species must submit or be destroyed. That is the way of the Zarkonian Empire." The alien leaned closer to whatever visual device it was using. "We have conquered 17 star systems. Your databanks likely do not contain information about us because we have not yet reached your sector of space. Consider this your first warning. Depart immediately or face destruction alongside the Proxima natives." Jack whispered, "Commander, I'm reading weapons charging on all 3 vessels." "How many ships in their total fleet?" Allison asked quietly. "At least 200, Jack replied. "Maybe more behind the planet." Allison took a deep breath. Earth protocol was clear. They should retreat and report this encounter. The Defiant could not hope to save a planet against such overwhelming odds. But as she looked at the view screen, where the alien commander waited for her response, something hardened within her. If the Zarkonians had conquered 17 systems, already they wouldn't stop at this one. Eventually they would reach human space. "Lieutenant Porter, plot a course out of the system," she said loudly enough for the alien to hear. The Zarkonian commander's mandibles clicked in what might have been satisfaction. "But hold position for now," she added. Then to the alien, "Before we leave, I need to understand something. If a species does submit to you, what happens to them? They serve the Empire. They provide resources, labor, and genetic material as required. In return, they are permitted to exist." "I see," Allison said. She muted the transmission temporarily. "Lieutenant Kelly, what's the status of our new shield technology? Online but untested in combat, Commander. And the prototype weapon systems?" "Same status. Engineering says they're functional, but we're about to find out how functional." Allison unmuted the transmission. "Zarkonian Commander, the United Earth Fleet does not recognize your claim to this system, nor your right to destroy its inhabitants. We demand you cease your attack immediately." All the alien's eyes widened at once. "You dare to make demands? One small vessel against our fleet?" It made a harsh sound that might have been laughter. "Your species must be either very brave or very foolish." "Perhaps we're both," Allison replied. "But there's something you should know about humans. We don't respond well to threats." She signaled Sam to cut the transmission. The view screen returned to showing the 3 massive alien ships. "All hands, battle stations," Allison ordered, her voice calm and determined. "We're about to make history." The 3 Zarkonian ships moved into attack formation. They were massive compared to the Defiant, their crystalline structures glinting in the light of the nearby star. The bridge crew watched with tense expressions as the enemy prepared to fire. "They're charging weapons," Lieutenant Jack Kelly reported. His hands moved quickly over the tactical console. "Impact in 5 seconds." Commander Allison Wright gripped the arms of her command chair. "Brace for impact." Brilliant beams of energy shot from the Zarkonian vessels, striking the Defiant's shields. The human ship shuddered violently. Warning lights flashed across every console on the bridge. "Shields holding at 67%, Jack called out. He looked surprised. That's better than expected. The adaptive matrix is redistributing energy to match their weapon frequency, Ellie Martinez explained from the science station. The experimental technology is working. Allison allowed herself a small smile. Good. Lieutenant Kelly, target the lead vessel's weapons array. Let's show them we can bite back. The Defiant's main guns fired, sending bright blue pulses toward the nearest Zarkonian ship. The shot struck true, causing visible damage to the alien vessel's outer hull. Direct hit, Jack reported. Their forward weapons are damaged, but they're already rerouting power to secondary systems. The ship rocked again as the other two Zarkonian vessels fired. This time, the impact was stronger. Shields at 43%, Jack said. We can't take many more hits like that. Allison opened a channel to engineering. Chief Ross, we need more power to the shields. I'm giving you everything I can, Commander, Peter Ross replied, his voice nearly drowned out by the sound of alarms. In engineering, the adaptive matrix is learning with each hit, but it needs time to adjust fully. Time is something we don't have much of, Allison muttered. She turned to Ellie. Officer Martinez, I need information. Find me a weakness in these ships. Ellie nodded and bent over her scanner. I'm analyzing their hull composition and energy patterns now. Another blast rocked the ship. A console at the back of the bridge exploded in sparks, sending a crew member tumbling to the floor. Medical Officer Diane Collins rushed to help, her red hair coming loose from its neat bun as she knelt beside the injured sailor. Shields at 28%, Jack reported grimly. Commander, we should consider retreating. Not yet, Allison said. We can't let them continue destroying that planet. She turned to Sam Nichols at communications. Are you still picking up transmissions from the surface? Sam nodded, his dark skin shining with sweat under the red alert lights. Yes, Commander. Distress signals are still coming through. The Zarkonians haven't completed their bombardment. Ellie suddenly looked up from her console. Commander, I've found something. The crystalline structures on their ships aren't just decorative. They appear to be part of their weapons system. They use harmonic frequencies to coordinate their attack patterns. Can we disrupt those frequencies? Allison asked. Possibly. Ellie's fingers flew across her console. I'm sending the data to engineering now. Allison opened the channel to engineering again. Chief Ross, did you get that information from Officer Martinez? I did, Peter replied. Give me a few minutes. I might be able to modify our deflector dish to emit an electromagnetic pulse that could disrupt their targeting systems. You have 2 minutes, Allison said. Lieutenant Porter, evasive maneuvers. Keep us moving. Don't let them get a clean shot. Greg Porter nodded and leaned into his navigation controls. The Defiant banked hard to starboard, then dove sharply, narrowly avoiding another barrage from the Zarkonian ships. Commander, Sam called out. We're receiving a transmission from the Zarkonian fleet. More ships are breaking off to join the attack on us. Allison's stomach tightened. How many? 5 more vessels, similar size to the ones we're already facing. The odds were getting worse by the minute. Allison knew that even with their experimental technology, the Defiant couldn't hope to defeat 8 massive warships. I'm also intercepting communications between their ships, Sam continued, pressing his earpiece tighter. Their language is complex, but the computer is translating. They seem confused. Confused about what? Allison asked. About us. Sam looked up. From what I can tell, they've never encountered a species that survived their initial attack. They expected us to be destroyed or retreating by now. Allison considered this information. So we've surprised them. Good. That gives us a psychological advantage. Chief Ross to bridge, came Peter's voice over the comm system. I've modified the deflector dish. It's not pretty, but it should generate an electromagnetic pulse that will disrupt their crystalline targeting array. Will it affect our systems too? Allison asked. I've adjusted our shields to compensate, but there might be some blowback. I recommend transferring all non-essential power to shields when we activate the pulse. Understood. Stand by. The ship shook again as another blast struck them. This time the lights on the bridge flickered before the backup systems engaged. Shields at 15%, Jack reported. That last hit damaged our port thrusters. Maneuverability is down by 20%. Diane Collins approached the command chair, wiping her hands on a cloth that was stained with blood. Commander, we have injured crew members being taken to sickbay. Nothing life-threatening yet, but if we take much more damage... Allison nodded, grimly. Understood, Doctor. She stood up and addressed the bridge crew. Prepare for the electromagnetic pulse. Transfer all non-essential power to shields. As the crew carried out her orders, Allison watched the view screen. The 8 Zarkonian ships were moving into position, surrounding the Defiant. They were preparing for what they likely thought would be their final coordinated attack. They're charging weapons, Jack reported. All 8 ships firing solutions locked on us. Perfect, Allison said with a cold smile. They're exactly where we want them. Activate the pulse now. Greg pressed the command sequence. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then a wave of invisible energy erupted from the Defiant, spreading outward in all directions. The effect on the Zarkonian ships was immediate. The crystalline structures on their hulls flashed brilliantly, then dimmed. Their weapons powered down, and several ships began drifting slightly off course. It worked, Ellie exclaimed. Their targeting systems are offline. They're recalibrating now, but it should give us a few minutes. Lieutenant Kelly, target their weapons arrays. Fire everything we've got. The Defiant's weapons blazed, striking each Zarkonian ship in their most vulnerable spots. Without their coordinated targeting systems, the aliens couldn't mount an effective defense. Direct hits on all targets, Jack reported with satisfaction. We've disabled weapons on 3 ships and damaged 4 others. The remaining Zarkonian fleet is noticing, Sam said urgently. 10 more ships have broken off from the planetary bombardment. They're heading this way. Allison took a deep breath. They had won this skirmish, but the battle was far from over. Lieutenant Porter, put some distance between us and these ships. We need time to recharge the pulse. As the Defiant pulled away, Allison saw that the Zarkonians had stopped their attack on the planet, now focusing entirely on the human vessel that had dared to challenge them. They're coming after us with everything they've got, she said quietly. Exactly as planned. 20 hours had passed since the battle began. The Defiant moved through an asteroid field, using the large rocks for cover. The ship had sustained damage to its outer hull, but the crew had worked tirelessly to keep essential systems running. Commander, Allison Wright hadn't slept. Dark circles under her eyes showed her exhaustion, but her voice remained firm as she gave orders. The bridge crew looked tired too, but determination kept them alert. Status report, Allison said, accepting a cup of coffee from a junior officer. The Zarkonian fleet is still searching for us, Lieutenant Jack Kelly said from Tactical. I count 15 warships in active pursuit. They've spread out to cover more area. Our shields are back up to 60%, Greg Porter reported from Navigation. Chief Ross worked miracles in engineering. Allison nodded. And the electromagnetic pulse? We can generate 2 more before we risk burning out the deflector dish, Greg said. Officer Ellie Martinez looked up from the science station. Commander, I've been studying the data we collected during our encounters with the Zarkonians. I believe I've found something important. Allison walked over to the science station. What is it? Their fleet movements follow strict mathematical patterns, Ellie explained, pointing to her screen where diagrams showed the positions of enemy ships. They never deviate from these formations, even when it would be tactically advantageous to do so. They lack adaptability, Allison said, understanding immediately. Exactly. Their technology is impressive, but their tactics are rigid. They've likely never needed to adapt because their overwhelming force has always been enough. Jack joined them at the science station. That explains why our random evasive patterns worked so well. Their prediction algorithms couldn't keep up. We should use this, Allison said. She turned to Sam Nichols at Communications. Lieutenant, any new intel from their transmissions? Sam adjusted his earpiece. Yes, Commander. I've been monitoring their communications. There's definitely a chain of command. All orders come from one ship, which then dispatches them to the rest of the fleet. A central command vessel, Allison mused. If we could identify it, I think I already have, Ellie said. Based on the transmission patterns, it's likely this one. She pointed to a larger ship near the center of the Zarkonian formation on her screen. Allison studied the display. If we could disrupt their command structure, we might confuse the entire fleet. The door to the bridge slid open and Medical Officer Diane Collins entered. She looked as tired as everyone else, her medical uniform stained with dried blood. "How are the wounded?" Allison asked. "Stable," Diane replied. "We have 12 crew members with serious injuries, but none life-threatening at this point. The medical replicators are working overtime to produce enough pain medication." "And the crew's morale?" Diane smiled slightly. "Surprisingly good. Word has spread that we stopped the bombardment of the planet. The crew feels we've already accomplished something important." "They have," Allison agreed, "but our mission isn't over yet." She returned to her command chair and opened a channel to engineering. "Chief Ross, how are repairs coming?" "We've patched the hull breaches in sections 4 and 7, Peter Ross replied, sounding exhausted but determined. "The adaptive shield matrix is performing better than expected. It's actually learning from each hit, becoming more resistant to their weapons." "What about our own weapons systems?" "Functioning at 85%. We've had to reroute power from non-essential areas, but we should be able to put up a fight." "Good work, Chief." Allison closed the channel and addressed the bridge crew. "Here's our situation. We've temporarily stopped the Zarkonians from destroying that planet, but they'll return to finish the job once they've dealt with us. We need to make sure that doesn't happen." "Commander," Jack said hesitantly, "even with our advantages, we're still one ship against a fleet. The odds have never been in our favor, Lieutenant," Allison interrupted. "But we've survived this long because we're doing something the Zarkonians don't expect. We're adapting." She stood up and walked to the main view screen, which showed the asteroid field they were hiding in. "Officer Martinez has identified their command ship. If we can disable it, we might disrupt their entire fleet's ability to coordinate." "Getting close enough to target it would be suicide," Greg said from navigation. "Not if they don't see us coming." Allison turned to face her crew. "The Zarkonians rely on predictable patterns, so we'll do something completely unpredictable." She pressed a button on her chair, bringing up a tactical display on the main screen. "We'll use the asteroids to mask our approach. Lieutenant Porter, plot a course that keeps us hidden until the last possible moment. Lieutenant Kelly, prepare another electromagnetic pulse, but this time, we'll focus it narrowly on the command ship instead of broadcasting it widely." "That might increase its effectiveness," Jack said, looking thoughtful. "If we concentrate the energy, we could potentially knock out their systems for longer." "Exactly. Officer Martinez, I need you to pinpoint the most vulnerable part of their command structure. Where should we aim to do the most damage?" Ellie studied her readings. "Their ships use quantum-entangled signals to communicate. It's theoretically unbreakable, but they all synchronize to the command ship. The main communications array should be located here." She highlighted a section on the image of the Zarkonian vessel. "Perfect. That's our target." Allison turned to Sam. "Lieutenant Nichols, I want you to prepare a message to be broadcast to all Zarkonian ships the moment their command vessel is disabled." "What should it say, Commander?" "Tell them that we have decoded their command protocols and can neutralize their entire fleet. Tell them we demand they cease all hostilities immediately." "Is that true?" Diane asked quietly. "Have we decoded their protocols?" "Not entirely," Allison admitted. "But they don't know that. Sometimes perception is as powerful as reality." The ship suddenly shuddered as a distant explosion sent a shockwave through the asteroid field. "They're destroying the asteroids," Jack reported, checking his scanners. "Trying to flush us out." "They're getting desperate," Allison said. "Good. Desperate enemies make mistakes." She returned to her command chair. "All stations prepare for battle. We've survived this long by being unpredictable and adaptable. Now we're going to show the Zarkonians what happens when they threaten a species that refuses to submit." The crew moved with renewed purpose, fatigue temporarily forgotten as they prepared for what might be their final confrontation with the alien fleet. "Course plotted through the asteroid field," Greg reported. "It'll keep us hidden until we're less than 10,000 kilometers from the command ship. Weapons and pulse ready," Jack added. Communications standing by, Sam confirmed. Allison took a deep breath and nodded. Lieutenant Porter, take us in. Slow and steady. Let's finish what we started. The Defiant began to move carefully through the asteroid field, heading toward a confrontation that would determine not just their fate, but potentially the fate of every world in this sector of space. The Defiant moved silently through the asteroid field. Inside the ship, the crew worked with quiet efficiency. On the bridge, Commander Allison Wright studied the tactical display showing the Zarkonian fleet's positions. The command ship was now clearly visible, larger than the others with more of the crystalline structures extending from its hull. Distance to target? Allison asked. 15,000 kilometers in closing, Greg Porter replied from navigation. We'll clear the asteroid field in 3 minutes. Any sign they've detected us? Jack Kelly checked his readings. Negative, Commander. Their attention is focused on the far side of the field. Our approach is still masked. Allison nodded and opened a channel to engineering. Chief Ross, status report. All systems ready, Commander, Peter Ross replied. I've modified the electromagnetic pulse emitter to focus on a narrow target. It should penetrate their shields more effectively, but we'll need to be closer than before. How close? 5,000 kilometers, ideally. Allison frowned. That was much closer than she had hoped. At that range, they would be vulnerable to the full firepower of the Zarkonian command ship. Understood, Chief. Stand by. She closed the channel and turned to Officer Ellie Martinez. Any updates on their defensive capabilities? Ellie looked up from her console. The command ship has stronger shields than the others, but the same vulnerability in their crystalline structure. If we hit them with the focused pulse, it should disrupt their communications for approximately 3 minutes before their systems recover. 3 minutes isn't much time, Jack observed. It's all we need, Allison replied. She turned to Sam Nichols. Is the message ready? Sam nodded. Ready to broadcast on your command. Good. Allison took a deep breath and addressed the entire bridge. Here's the plan. We're going to approach to 5,000 kilometers, then deliberately show ourselves. Show ourselves? Greg asked in surprise. Won't that alert them immediately? That's what I'm counting on, Allison explained. They'll be surprised to see us so close to their command ship. Their first instinct will be to power up their weapons. When they do, we'll fire the electromagnetic pulse directly at their communications array. And then, Jack asked, then we give them a demonstration of our capabilities. Target their secondary ships with conventional weapons, just enough to show we can hurt them. Once they see their command structure is compromised and their ships are vulnerable, we broadcast our message. The bridge crew exchanged looks. The plan was risky, but no one offered a better alternative. 10,000 kilometers to target, Greg announced. We're about to exit the asteroid field. All hands, battle stations, Allison ordered. This is it. The Defiant emerged from the cover of the asteroids. For a moment, nothing happened. Then alarms blared across the bridge. We've been spotted, Jack reported. The command ship is powering weapons. Hold position, Allison ordered. Let them make the first move. On the view screen, they could see the massive Zarkonian command ship turning toward them. The crystalline structures along its hull began to glow with energy. They're charging their main weapon, Jack warned. Impact in 15 seconds. Shields at maximum, Allison ordered. Stand by to fire the pulse on my mark. The seconds ticked by with excruciating slowness. The bridge crew braced for impact. 5 seconds, Jack counted down. 4, 3, 2, 1. A massive beam of energy shot from the Zarkonian ship, striking the Defiant head-on. The human vessel shuddered violently, systems flickering, as the shields absorbed the tremendous force. Shields holding at 30%, Jack reported. They took a bigger hit than expected. Now, Lieutenant Kelly, fire the pulse, Allison ordered. Jack pressed the firing control. A concentrated burst of electromagnetic energy shot from the Defiant, striking the Zarkonian command ship precisely at its communications array. The effect was immediate. The glowing crystalline structures across the alien vessel flickered and went dark. Direct hit, Ellie called out. Their communications array is offline. The rest of the fleet is losing. Coordination. Target the nearest 3 Zarkonian vessels, Allison ordered. Disable their engines only. The Defiant's weapons fired in quick succession, striking 3 enemy ships with surgical precision. Without guidance from the command ship, their shields had become less effective, allowing the human weapons to cause significant damage. Lieutenant Nichols, broadcast our message to all Zarkonian frequencies, Allison ordered. Sam activated the communication system. His voice was steady as he spoke the prepared message. Attention Zarkonian vessels, we have decoded your command, protocols, and can neutralize your entire fleet. Cease all hostilities immediately or face destruction. The effect was dramatic. The Zarkonian ships, already disorganized by the loss of their command structure, began to break formation. Some continued to fire, but their shots were uncoordinated and easy for the Defiant to evade. It's working, Greg said with surprise. They're confused. The command ship is attempting to restore communications, Ellie reported. They'll be back online in approximately 1 minute. Allison stood from her chair. Target the command ship's propulsion systems. We need to immobilize them before they regain control. The Defiant fired again, striking the massive Zarkonian vessel's engines. A series of explosions rippled across the alien ship's rear section. Direct hit, Jack reported. Their engines are offline. Incoming transmission from the command ship, Sam announced. Audio only. Put it through, Allison ordered. A harsh voice filled the bridge. Human vessel, this is High Commander Vexthor of the Zarkonian Empire. Your attack on our fleet is an act of war. Surrender immediately or face annihilation. Allison smiled coldly. High Commander, look around you. Your fleet is in disarray, your ship is immobilized. We've demonstrated our ability to neutralize your technology. I suggest you reconsider your position. There was a long pause before the alien replied. What are your terms? Withdraw all Zarkonian forces from this system immediately, end the attack on the planet below, and prepare to discuss reparations for the damage you've already caused. Unacceptable, the High Commander growled. The Zarkonian Empire does not retreat. We do not negotiate with inferior species. Then perhaps a further demonstration is necessary, Allison said. She muted the transmission and turned to Jack. Target 2 more ships, disable them completely. Jack carried out the order. The Defiant's weapons struck 2 more Zarkonian vessels, causing significant damage. One ship began drifting, clearly without power. The other listed to one side, venting atmosphere from a breach in its hull. Allison unmuted the transmission. High Commander, we can continue this demonstration until your entire fleet is disabled, or you can accept our terms. The choice is yours. The bridge crew waited tensely for the response. After what seemed like an eternity, the alien's voice came through again. We will withdraw from this system, the High Commander said, his voice tight with rage. But this is not over, human. The Zarkonian Empire does not forget such insults. Neither does humanity forget genocide, High Commander, Allison replied firmly. Be grateful we're offering terms at all. You have 1 hour to begin your withdrawal. She signaled Sam to end the transmission. For a moment, the bridge was silent. Then Greg let out a long breath. Did we just win? He asked in disbelief. Allison looked at the view screen, where the damaged Zarkonian command ship floated helplessly. For now, she said. But the High Commander is right about one thing. This isn't over. 6 months had passed since the encounter with the Zarkonian fleet. The Defiant floated in space near Earth, its hull now fully repaired. The scars of battle had been erased, but the memories remained vivid for everyone who had served aboard during those fateful days. Commander Allison Wright stood by the window in the observation lounge, looking out at her home planet. She wore a new uniform, with the rank insignia of Admiral now adorning her collar. Her promotion had come shortly after their return to Earth, along with medals and honors for the entire crew. The door slid open, and Lieutenant Jack Kelly entered. Like Allison, he had received a promotion, now serving as the Defiant's first officer. Admiral, he said with a respectful nod. The delegates have arrived. They're waiting in the conference room. Allison turned from the window. Thank you, Commander Kelly. How many representatives came? 17 in total, one from each species previously controlled by the Zarkonian Empire, plus the Proximan delegate. Allison nodded. The Proximans were the people they had saved from destruction, the inhabitants of that small green planet that had first brought them into conflict with the Zarkonians. "And what about our special guest?" she asked. High Commander Vexthor arrived separately. He's being escorted by security now. A small smile touched Allison's lips. "I imagine he's not pleased about being here." "Not at all," Jack agreed. "But the terms of the treaty left him little choice." Allison straightened her uniform and took a deep breath. "Well then, let's not keep them waiting." They walked together through the corridors of the Defiant. Crew members stopped and saluted as they passed. The ship had become famous throughout Earth and its colonies, the single warship that had forced an entire empire to submit. "Nervous?" Jack asked quietly as they approached the conference room. "A little," Allison admitted. 6 months ago I was a patrol commander. Now I'm negotiating interstellar peace treaties." "If anyone can do it, it's you," Jack said with confidence. The doors to the conference room slid open. Inside, a large oval table was surrounded by alien delegates of various species. Some looked nearly human, while others were strikingly different. At the far end sat a familiar figure, High Commander Vexthor, his purple-gray skin and multiple yellow eyes unmistakable. He did not rise when Allison entered. "Welcome to Earth space," Allison said, addressing the gathered delegates. "I am Admiral Allison Wright. On behalf of the United Earth Government, I thank you for traveling such great distances to be here today." A slender being with pale blue skin stood. "We are the ones who should be thanking you, Admiral. I am Narration, representative of Proxima Centauri. Without your intervention, my people would now be extinct." Murmurs of agreement came from several other delegates. Vexthor remained silent, his eyes blinking in that unsettling sequential pattern. "Please, be seated," Allison said. "Today marks the formal signing of the Treaty of Sol, establishing peace between Earth, the former Zarkonian Empire, and all independent worlds in this sector of space." She activated a display in the center of the table, showing a star map with territorial boundaries clearly marked. "As agreed in our preliminary discussions, the Zarkonian Empire will relinquish control of 12 star systems, restoring independence. To the worlds they conquered, they will maintain sovereignty over their 5 original systems." Vexthor finally spoke, his voice harsh. "This treaty is being signed under duress. The Zarkonian Empire does not recognize its legitimacy." Allison met his gaze evenly. "High Commander, your empire had a choice. When we disabled your command ship, we could have destroyed it. Instead, we offered terms. Your alternatives were clear: agree to peace or face war with humanity." "One ship cannot defeat an empire," Vexthor said dismissively. "That one ship defeated 8 of your warships and disabled your command vessel," Allison reminded him. "And now, Earth has shared its adaptive shield technology with all the worlds you previously subjugated. This was the real victory. In the months since the battle, Earth had reached out to each of the species formerly controlled by the Zarkonians. They had shared defensive technology, established trade agreements, and built a coalition that could stand against future aggression. "Show. Balance of power has changed," continued Allison. "But this treaty offers the Zarkonian Empire an opportunity to change as well, to join a community of worlds based on mutual respect rather than domination." Vexthor's mandibles clicked together in what might have been irritation or contemplation. "You humans are strange. You had the advantage. You could have destroyed us. Why offer peace instead?" "Because that's not who we are," Allison replied simply. "Humanity has learned through its own history that conquest brings only temporary power. True strength comes from cooperation." The High Commander stared at her for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, he rose to his feet. "The Zarkonian Empire has existed for 1,000 years," he said. "We have conquered many worlds. We have never been defeated until now." He paused, his multiple eyes fixed on Allison. "One human warship accomplished what entire fleets from other species could not. This deserves respect." He placed a 6-fingered hand on the treaty document. "I will sign your treaty, Admiral Wright. Not because I am forced to, but because the Zarkonian Empire recognizes strength when we see it. A murmur of surprise ran through the room. Allison maintained her composure, though she was equally shocked by this unexpected turn. "Thank you, High Commander," she said. "This is a wise decision that will benefit all our peoples." One by one, the delegates came forward to sign the treaty. Last was Narration from Proxima Centauri, whose people had nearly been wiped out. "My world will never forget what humanity did for us," he said as he signed. "You stood against an empire when no one else would. That single act of courage has changed the stars themselves." When the ceremony was complete, Allison stepped to the window. Outside, Earth shone blue and beautiful. Beyond it, the stars beckoned, a galaxy now a little safer because of what they had done. Jack came to stand beside her. "Quite a change from 6 months ago," he remarked quietly. "Yes," Allison agreed. "One ship, one moment, one decision." "They're already telling the story throughout known space," Jack said. "The legend of how a single human warship made an entire empire submit." Allison smiled. "Legends are powerful things, Commander Kelly. They inspire others to be brave, to stand against impossible odds, to fight for what's right." "And is that what we did?" Jack asked. "The right thing?" Allison looked back at the conference room where former enemies now spoke as cautious allies. Worlds that had known only oppression were free again. Species that had lived in fear now had hope. "Yes," she said with certainty. "That's exactly what we did." In the years that followed, the story of the Defiant and its crew spread throughout the galaxy. It became more than just a tale of a battle won. It became a symbol of what courage and determination could accomplish even against overwhelming odds. And when other tyrants and conquerors looked toward Earth and its colonies, they remembered the lesson learned by the mighty Zarkonian Empire. Never underestimate humanity. For even a single human warship can change the course of history.